Especially after the goal I typed in for our proposal.
Oh, yeah.
Hey friends, welcome to Shipbreakers Stars Without Numbers Revised, episode 21, I believe. Join the crew of the Golden Goose as they scrap and salvage their way across Cress Wayside. The boys are in a pickle right now.
You could call it a scrap.
You're in a scrap. Everybody's in a pickle. You're in a scrap.
That's fair. That's fair.
Everything's watching above.
Let's talk about goals before we get to the shooting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, I proposed two in our chat. I think I'm leaning towards the second one, but the first is breathe the primary focus in this battle so that Quentin doesn't take more than half his life damage, preferably in a single shot.
Okay.
Or
that's dependent on a roll I'm about to make.
Yeah, depending on, assuming we survive the combat, all of us, contacting Carlito. I think I'm leaning towards contacting Carlito because I'd like to assume that I'm still alive.
Okay, I'm going to write that in for your goal. Contact Carlito.
What about you, Captain?
Well, let's see. Quentin's personal goal last time was to essentially help Lita, is what I would say. That still is valid, but I feel like I would like something more specific. In the short term, obviously we're bringing this dude to some form of justice, ideally, anyway. We shall see. And from there, I think, what's Quentin's goals? Quentin's goals are going to be, man, that's a rough one.
Have the control not to kill this dude.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what I was going to say is something like, find the space to mourn a little bit. Like, he has not had that opportunity for sure, and this is, a big one.
Sure, if you go to the Shadow Realm, they'll mourn with you.
They will. It depends on which one comes, right? There's flavors, there's personalities.
MINERVA.
We're learning.
I think my short-term goal is going to be to convince the captain that we need the Hosta to survive a trip to the shipyard, and that the trip to the shipyard is a priority.
Okay.
You can certainly have that goal. The Hosta is not ready for flight and will not be for some time. You even have it pre-registered. They're ready at the end of the year to pull that bad boy in and start work on it in like 8 to 10 months. Is the earliest they can get that thing in a shipyard and start loading the core into it, the spike drive. I think that getting it faster than that is, look, you can certainly make it a short-term goal. It's not. That would 100% be a the rest of the show could be about that.
Okay.
Listen, I like the goal, and I think it represents the direction you want to take your character in. I don't think it is accomplishable, which has nothing to do with whether you get XP for it. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I wouldn't want you pursuing a goal that you could not fulfill. You have already sacrificed quite a bit to get it to where it currently is, which is a 100% assurance of a repair berth by end of year.
We just call those stretch goals.
So that's a real stretch.
Very stretchy.
Yeah. What about something more like talk to the crew about trying to work out a deal with Van-Vee's parents to get some material to see what we might be able to do to try to set something up so in the next couple of months we can bring material to the ship to try to do repairs to other parts of the ship, so when it ends up being ready for the spike drive.
You
It's
want
a
it to be ready just for the spike drive, and everything else will be good to go.
right. So maybe have something like a conversation with the crew to try to see if we can line something up with Van-Vee's folks for material to have Van-Vee work on the Hosta.
You want to pregame the ship.
Yeah.
A crew goal in relation to that could be trying to set up a partnership between Golden Goose LLC and whatever was it, Vostros construction. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I thought you were going to go
getting
initially.
their help, getting them like on our team in some way, shape, or form. I think is a definitely a good crew goal. Quentin for sure would look to try to leverage, that relationship through you to try to get support or aid for Lita in some fashion if that's necessary. Like in some way, getting help from them. I think. Is
I would just suggest we don't lead with those when we first see them. There's gonna be a lot of airing out of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think one of the things that MINERVA wants to try to get set up is if we can get the ship ready for the spike drive, then there's less time we have to wait before we get to what might be critical infrastructure for the psionics. Because even after dropping the spike drive, it still needs to be repaired.
Go for it without the Hosta, mostly because he'll have some arguments. We'll see, but I look forward to that.
It'll be a whole thing. It sounds like we're going to keep our crew goal of save psionics.
Oh, we weren't changing it to
Partnership
with Vostro Construction.
I mean, there's definitely a lot more that we could do to save psionics within this episode than to move that partnership along. So we could certainly keep that as our follow-up crew goal once we can actually interact with them, I suppose.
I have all the confidence in the world. We're gonna take out these guys. We're gonna save everyone. We're gonna leave.
It'll be beautiful. It's gonna be perfect, and
long
only the right
session
people will get hurt.
Of just Van-Vee and his dad yelling at each other for an hour.
I look forward to it. Family.
Your bro hug at the end. And then Van-Vee will have the thought, wait, am I just hugging myself?
Yeah.
At least we don't have to worry about any of your efforts being construed as competing with the existing Psionic Academy anymore.
Yep. That's very moot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Silver lining, huh?
I guess.
Jeez.
Quentin is the Academy right now, anyway.
As far as he knows.
Before we get started, I just want to say that people who aren't watching Blood Bowl should know that the first round of the playoffs is coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and my opponent is Dunamis.
Yeah,
We'll be
but
facing off for the second time. We had a draw last time. You cannot draw on the playoffs, so there must be a winner this time.
we had the higher scoring game all season, even more than your 5-zip win over Pondo, because we tied 3-3.
Zip over Pondo is legendary, baby. No one is gonna beat that record. I mean, it was amazing. I was scoring with so many members of my team. It made me look great. Pondo is so traumatized by it. Now he wants to concede 1-0 against all of his opponents.
I mean, to be fair, he had one player left.
That's true.
Brutal.
I know what that's like. I had 0 players on the field at one point. We start lower left-hand corner. White text on a black screen says August 1st, 2665. We hear the sound of rain coming down on metal and the screech of engines that lets us know that we are on some sort of ship. A ship with a lot of loose objects and rattling that is making its way through a storm. And to punctuate that, the ripple of a thunderclap rolls through the cabin. We suddenly get the front view screen of some sort of surplus military shuttle, something that used to be fully militarized, but you can see that like a lot of the gear has been taken out, like where there should be a sort of military radar array. It's been removed. that module's been removed from the shuttle. Any sort of weapons panels have all been removed. There's lots of loose dangling wires, but there's no like sparks or anything. It has a sort of chaotic and yet organized look to it. Like all the wires are in bundles. Their cable management is pristine with the exception of randomly dangling cords. We can hear someone speaking with an electronically synthesized voice, and as the camera does a sudden cut, we can see that there are 5 chassis of androids in the back of this shuttle. 4 of them are kneeling before one of them. And the one that is standing says, "Does the book of Samuel not tell us, it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves?" And the 4 kneeling ones say, "It is their will be done." It holds, the one standing holds a bowl and says, "By this blessed oil, let the blood of the creators flow into each of us through the rite of the sacrament," and then kind of like gives oil to each of the 4 of them. All of them form the sign of the cross. We could see that all 5 of these chassis all look like some sort of war robots, for sure. One of them is like huge and hulking and has some sort of massive hammer on its back. Others have what should be a gun arm, except like only the rotator is left, and like the minigun barrels have all been removed. One of them is just straight up got that like Star Wars battle droid kind of very thin face with the visor look to it. And the one that's standing says, "Where we go, we are not wanted, but we are needed. These people have suffered. The humans have suffered under the weight of this natural disaster. And it is up to us to save them, even from themselves. We are to offer aid, as is our charter, but we will not force it upon them, and we would never harm them." Brother Peter, and the very large one with the hammer says, "Affirmative, I am here. Your seismic sounder. Use it to find any of those buried in the rubble. Simon, Andrew, I need you to fly over the area. Locate any survivors and gather them at the ship. Thaddeus, it is up to you to convince people to take our aid." And the one that's speaking steps on some sort of like floor panel, and from out of the floor, containers full of blankets, ration packs, supplementary clothing, parkas, flashlights, paper towels. All these crates become one with the back of this shuttle's drop bay. And one of them says, "What will you do, Brother Judas?" And he says, "I will save them. I will save them all." And we cut to the exterior of this ship, making like a low pass over a major city that it's still being dumped on with rain, and very clearly like trees have blown their way through houses, skyscrapers have been knocked over, people are pinned underneath buildings. Each of these robot chassis just starts jumping out of the shuttle as the shuttle begins an auto landing sequence. And as it lands, someone comes out of one of the buildings and is just like pointing accusatorially at all these robots and is like, "Get out of here! You're heretics! You're aberrations! You're not human! We don't want you here!" And it's just like screaming. He runs up to the shuttle and just like starts pulling supplies out of it and throwing them out of the shuttle into the rain. Like a block of paper towels is just instantly being soaked. The one called Brother Judas walks up to him and says, "My friend, I must ask you. You cannot destroy these materials. They have been donated by humans for humans. I must ask you to calm yourself and to step away from your own property." The man begins incoherently quoting scripture from the New Orange Bible, which is a sect of Catholicism that specifically attempts to oppose any sort of machine intelligence. But then a little girl darts out of the building and says, my mom needs help, please. She's trapped under the rubble." And the man goes, "No, go back inside. I told you we don't need them." And Brother Judas just like steps around this man and begins going after the little girl and says, "Creator, if you require aid or assistance, please direct me to any humans who can use my services." And we just get a wider and wider cut of Judas going into the building with the little girl. The man is just taking food packs and opening them and throwing them incoherently while his neighbors watch him. And he's just alone, soaked in the rain, looking fuming as he just runs out of energy. Overhead, we can see two different robot chassis are passing. They're pointing and calling out to each other where people are and helping direct them to the central drop shuttle. As this is happening, the bottom left-hand corner says, "Planet says, Shivada system. Time till scream, 16 hours, 21 minutes. Let's roll initiative. It's a D8 plus your dexterity modifier. I would need a real good reason why you should roll initiative, Kain. I'm sorry to disclude you from this, but I honestly don't know that you can affect the battlefield in any way.
I can use the rewind.
Didn't you just use the rewind? Oh, it's a new set. I mean, if you're gonna do that,
I've only got 1 point left, so
I again, I don't know that you need to roll. I don't want to disclude you, but it feels like if you use the ship's gun, you're going to kill everyone in the area. To be clear,
definitely not going to do that.
What I'm really trying to emphasize here is that not having a body really kind of hurts you in this situation.
Yeah. So how about if something horrific goes bad,
you could tell me when
that I
you
would
want
like
to
to use
step
that
in.
point.
1d8.
Yeah, it's 1d8, not 1d6.
You're right, it is a 6.
So you get to roll twice. Again.
Watch both of these be lower somehow. Oh, nope, never mind. Holy crap.
All right.
So
Now
you
it
act
is.
first. Okay, so hold on for a second. Is this gonna work? No, that's gonna show all my secret notes, so hold on. Okay, the initiative order is Van-Vee, then it is Killian.
I rolled a straight 9876.
And Quentin. Acting last is the crowd of people.
You're gonna have to refresh me a little bit on like the number of things we can do in a single turn. Is it just like D&D kind of where I can do like quick action
Ish
movement, stuff like that?
So you get a main action, a move, an on turn, and an instant.
Okay, yeah, basically the same thing. Okay.
If you're looking for a recap, it's on page 48. It's the start of combat.
Got it.
There are two ships parked across from one another. One is the expected retirement, a shuttlecraft with no weapons, and a lot of signs that it recently had a nuclear weapon on board. At the base of the expected retirement is a group of people who have been gathered and are now scattering given that shooting has started, and Dutch Orcazis, who is gesturing with two fingers towards Van-Vee. Somewhere in the area is Killian, who is sniping Van-Vee. Quentin has teleported on board the Golden Goose, which is located about like 100 feet away from the expected retirement. And between the two ships, totally in the open on the beautiful rolling plains of Lita is Van-Vee. MINERVA is trapped chassisless on board the Golden Goose. You're first.
So it is.
Alrighty then. I would like to move towards the grid, but not in melee range.
So you can
if there's-
move, I believe, a certain number of meters. You can move 10 meters,
Mhm.
and you are about 15 meters from him. So you can get most, but not all the
we're
way
really
there.
close.
You will be pushing up against the crowd if you approach all the way. I don't know that 10 meters is really close, but
Well, if I'm 5 meters away, then
just to be clear, you have a pistol. So again, he has a gun and you have a pistol. So I'm not sure 10 meters is the kind of really close you want to be at, but sure.
He does have a gun, I suppose. That makes sense. Wait, is he in like a large crowd? If I shoot, am I likely to hit someone else?
Absolutely.
Oh, balls.
He
That sucks.
specifically brought this crowd here just in case you did try to fight him. It's intentional. I think you can see in his face his level of smugness that this is working out exactly as planned. He'll never know that in actuality he previously killed Quentin and then didn't.
Yeah, let's see your smugness not knowing that. All right. Well, then I guess I'd like to approach him somehow using some sort of cover. If there's no cover, that's fine. But I do not want another human being to be my cover. Like, I don't want someone else to get
no
shot.
cover if you're not looking for human beings.
Okay.
You said there were like there's a tree line nearby.
The tree line is to your direct west. You're several
Can I make
hundred
it in
feet
10
away.
feet?
No
way.
Several hundred
right.
feet. Okay.
Then I'm just gonna take my pistol out, point it in his direction, and approach and say, "It's over, Grid. Stand down. We've got you." And if he makes any movement, I will fire.
Okay, go ahead and fire. He's definitely going to make a move.
Here's to hoping you don't hit an innocent.
Well, this is will be interesting. What Vandorn does, shooting into a crowd.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so this you actually have to use it from inventory. You can't use the skill. Okay, laser pistol. Goodness. Shoot.
You're looking to hit a AC 12. He is wearing a tailored business suit.
Ah.
You will hit. You will hit him for 7 points of damage.
What the heck are all these little thingies? Click to apply full damage.
It's just stuff to interact with the tokens that we don't have.
I was gonna say I don't know what the tokens are.
You shoot him. I want to be clear here. In this system, hit points don't necessarily represent a direct hit. For instance, we've established that if you are directly hit by a laser, you will burn into tiny pieces, or there'll be a massive hole through you. What it is grit, luck, and determination, and his level of exhaustion at dodging. Like, he has to blow through all of that as he sidesteps your shot to stay alive, and you shave 7 hit points of his life away.
Do all those modifiers make sense on my roll? I rolled a
I'm assuming
4.
You have a
Like, that seems like a lot of
+5 to hit.
pluses.
So
Yeah, because of
you have no burst because you didn't triple shot your pistol, which I don't know if you can do. You could do it with a laser rifle. You have a 5 character attack bonus +1 for the weapon because it's a laser weapon, +1 for your stat, and +2 for your skill, which all sounds really reasonable to me.
Okay, all right. I clicked the expansion expecting it to be like an 11, and then I saw a 4, and I was like, "No, wait a minute, something can't be right here." But,
What
all right,
is your
I'll take it.
armor class?
I think it's a 12 as well. Where am I looking here? Oh, 14.
Okay. Do you have anything special against, like, I mean, I don't know what you have. I think you have the under armor, the like hidden
Armored
armor.
undersuit.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything special that would prevent you from being hit by a TL3 weapon.
Mm-mm.
Not as far as I know.
Yeah, like assault
Unless
suits
the
and
dust
such.
does that. No.
Your dust is not some sort of magical field that protects you from being shot in the face. I just want to be really clear about that. You don't have a capability to survive. Well, technically, the dust does let you survive being shot in the face. You will just be dust at that point, though. Dust in
dust
the
to
wind.
dust. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust.
Okay, so Killian is shooting at you.
I can't have execution attacks against me, but if I get shot in the face, I don't know if that matters.
The execution attack was last turn. 17 to hit.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He hits you for 12 points of damage. What's that look like to you? What's your hit points?
I'm now down to 32.
So we see Killian lying on the ground with a bipoded sniper rifle, scope that's way too futuristically high tech for this kind of bolt action rifle. You know, this is something that belongs in a sci-fi movie kind of deal. He is nearly perfectly blending in the ground in a way that lets us know that he has some sort of mimetic camouflage suit on.
That's not what I want to hear.
Yeah, the only way you know that anything happens is that there's a slight brush of like the grass, the tall grass around him just kind of waves is like the puff of his weapon going out, but there's not even enough of a flash to figure out what direction the bullet comes from as it slams into you. Your alertness as Vandorn lets you, catch it as a grazing shot on your arm, and like your clothes get smoked. So like I think your character duster gets damaged, and we can see that you're wearing armor underneath it. You know what I mean? Like if you were on a space station and you were walking around with this, a police officer saw it, they'd be like, "Are you wearing armored underclothes?"
I'd have to bribe someone again. Yeah.
Then it's up to your boy. He is right where he wants to be. He just is gonna reach over and grab someone near him, someone you wouldn't want to shoot at. So probably, and someone he can physically handle well, like a woman who's not panicking but like not running either, like someone who's frozen in fear. He's just gonna like grab them and use them as a human shield. So let's see.
So like an Amazonian blood bowler.
I don't get the reference, but let's say yes.
Light him off, lady.
Do
the toe stomp. Come on, it's classic.
Oh, that's wrong. That's 2d6 plus 3. You got a 13. Yeah, he doesn't even look. He casually just grabs someone using his peripheral vision and swings her in front of him and uses her to balance his rifle. And he just he's got a knife to her neck, and he's just like, "Don't move if you want to live." And he's like moving to keep you in the rifle sight and her between you and him.
Lowest of the low.
Which brings us to Quentin and Minerva, who are on the bridge watching this fight happen from several different camera angles.
Yeah, so that's terrible. Quentin will say, I guess, something to Minerva. Try to locate the sniper and see if she can do something with that, as he...
That's I guess a good idea. God damn it.
Yeah. And let's see. So behind Dutch is the shuttle.
Yes, the expected retirement.
Is there anything is it open, essentially?
I think no, because Dutch wouldn't want anyone getting on his ship. He wouldn't want anyone wandering on it, so it would be closed.
It would be closed. And then tree line, there's trees nearby. Well, okay, so essentially Quentin, I think, will teleport to behind him, out of his vision, hopefully, ducking, hopefully in the smallest portion, darkest portion, behind that shuttle, trying to keep it, out of sight, essentially, to be as hidden as possible in this scenario.
Sounds like you're trying to work your way around saying the word stealth.
Yeah, I can sneak if you want, but like, that's where he's going to for sure.
Notice, yeah.
That's 100% going to happen.
I don't want to stealth. I just want to do this in a way where I might not be noticed.
You need to beat a 11. On a
yikes.
sneak.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Are you good at sneak?
I mean, I won't be able to. Yeah, no, I'm terrible at this. This is not like a thing that Quentin does.
It might not even be possible with your penalty.
Yeah, it's not going to pass. Like, he's not going to be invisible from it. I mean, I guess he makes some noise that draws it. I don't know how he gets his attention, but we'll find out.
You literally leap back in. I believe you teleport as a move action, so this isn't even an action.
Yeah, this is free. I have lots more to do.
You teleport, and look, it's not that teleport makes a lot of noise, and there's a lot going on, screaming, shooting. There is, however, the subtle fact that you can't get around physics, and you arriving causes a pressure wave of a displacement of your body weight and mass in every direction as you push the air where you're arriving at outwardly. And he feels that breeze.
How close is he?
Thumping noise. I feel like he's probably not that close, but okay. I'm just going to say he's extremely sensitive to
he's going to see me
psionics.
either way. I'm just like...
He hears the Nightcrawler.
not fighting.
This is a man who took a job to kill the home planet of the psionics. I feel like he's well trained at detecting when they have arrived near him so he can murder them.
Plausible to me, sure. Yes.
Listen.
Again, I'm not fighting this.
I can't Brennan Lee Mulligan, you notice the pinpoint of his eyes on the spot. I'm trying to make up some gobbledygook bullshit.
I'm ready. I'm ready for my next move.
As to how I notice you.
From Psionic Babble?
Yeah, Psionic
Babble. Some Babble. For sure. So Quentin is obviously in full telekinetic armory. He is armored and armed as far as that goes. He probably looks at this point something like a leading ranger, whatever their official insignia would be, with maybe like a golden goose insignia on the side.
There's a lot of wearing of vests, blue jeans, and
that's what he looks.
Sawed-off shotguns are really big sidearm pieces.
Beautiful, nice. And the only addition to it is maybe like an Order of the Golden Goose symbol somewhere on there.
Amazing.
That shows up. So that's what he's holding down with his armory in front of
who would have thought you'd get Quentin as a biker gang member?
Why not?
Today.
This is what's the best way to do this?
The back of the jacket just says Route 66.
No one knows
what
Pokemon.
Route 66 is on Lita, but they all worship it from the ancient
Love
days.
Oh dear. Okay, so this guy, does he whip around at me? I mean, I don't know. That doesn't matter.
No, listen, you don't appear to be carrying any weapons to him.
Mm-hmm.
He is keeping the hostage and his gun pointed at the guy who just shot at him.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I need to do something for Van-Vee here. So Quentin does kind of hold his hand up over towards Van-Vee, and in front of you, Van-Vee, essentially like not a wall, but like a firing emplacement or something appears, like cover for you out of nowhere. Comes into play. This is tangible force construct. And
heavy woods.
I mean, like it looks like a bunker for Van-Vee, essentially.
Just
but yes, heavy woods. So this should give you full cover for the next round that you can,
oh my god, too funny. I couldn't help it.
Thanks, Pondo the man.
And then
for next turn, I would like lava to spawn underneath him.
Quentin will take his shot at this dude, I suppose.
Okay. You're going to get a +2 to hit because you are attacking him from behind and he is intentionally disregarding you.
Which guy are you attacking, Killian or?
He has no idea.
The only one I know exists, basically.
Okay.
So. There's my roll.
Okay, hold on. A 12 will hit.
That was his AC, I believe. So, yeah.
And 8 damage will deal damage. You fire a telekinetic blast that goes through and through somewhere under his rib cage, where it's probably very close to hitting an organ, and a little bit of blood is gushing out both sides of the hole. It's bad. It's probably not lethal yet. With some medical aid, he could live a long and healthy life. He goes pale very quickly and does not look well. Well, Minerva, I have great news. You actually do get an action if you'd like to try to detect Killian.
I would like to use the scanners to find any sign of him.
I have even better good and bad news for you.
Okay.
The good news is that, the bad news is you literally cannot find Killian. The good news is that Killian's sniper rifle is not covered in the same artifact that he is. And that's really easy to find in a field full of not metal. You very quickly home in on something made of plastic and steel and iron and a little bit of wood on the stock. And you've pinpointed him as being about 400 meters away at the rise of a hill.
Damn.
Well, I will chirp into both headsets, giving each of them a direction and distance relative to their current facings.
He is almost directly east. At the end of the round as well, Minerva, someone is requesting access to the ship's elevator.
I'd like to look through the cameras.
All right, so you are watching a half of a doctor's coat on, trying to tie a red cross onto their arm. Dr. Leslie Fish. She's dragging a med kit that you're not clear if she actually knows how to use modern medical equipment yet, fully, and is I assume that the ship is in some sort of like red alert, like warning, the ship, the ship has had bullets fired at it. All crew, battle stations, all passengers return to your rooms, like an automatic response. She is trying to get the elevator in the middle of the ship to take her down to the ground level.
Let's see, how do I want to do this delay then? I don't want her to go out quite yet.
Just remember, you'll have to explain what delayed her at some point.
Yeah.
She doesn't know you're here.
She's just sitting there hitting the button, and it's just a really slow elevator.
I want to say that like the return on the screen is something like ship in combat condition, request logged, processing.
Okay.
Like just make it look like it's really slow.
All right. Now, everyone is trying to find a way to give Kain actions, and Soundwave has made an excellent point. You can fire the sand thrower at Killian. He is within range of it, and you will not hit anyone else besides Killian.
Okay, that was my concern, was whether or not there'd be like a cone of killing innocents.
I mean, for sure, there's going to be bacteria flying through the air, numerous pieces of wildlife like bunnies or foxes, meerkats. They're all going to die in that massive cone of death, but you'll also hit Killian for sure.
And not any of the civilians.
100% clear. There are unless they're wearing the same sneak suit Killian is, there are no other civilians in that direction for kilometers.
Hmm. Well, given what I know about Leetons and their general lack of technology, it's incredibly unlikely they'll have one.
But what if you've
never even heard of this technology before?
A capybara?
Yeah.
So
could you live with yourself?
If I save the crew, probably.
There are no capybaras in that direction either.
Then yeah, I'll.
You fire the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin, Van-Vee, I need you both to roll physical effect saves.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, barely.
Quentin, you're both deaf. Quentin, Your deafness may be somewhat more permanent.
Fair enough.
Something like, I mean, to describe what happens with the Sandthrower as a gunshot would be wrong, because it's more like if thousands of guns are being fired at the same time. It's literally taking a massive block of silicate and firing essentially like card deck sized pebbles into an area. There's just a long conical strip of destruction for like a full kilometer away from the ship that just shaves the hill that Killian's on. Like, you don't need to worry about Killian. There's not enough genetic material to make Killian again. There's like these beautiful kind of brown gold grass fields, right? And then there's like a brown furrow between you and Killian. That's 400 plus meters long. The heat of its firing, the air being over pressurized, the sound, all of it, everyone's just like
the ringing.
so
The
hey,
end of Saving Private Ryan.
Mop. Mop.
Van-Vee. Just remember, these ships are meant to fire in space, not on planets.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm deaf. Can I see? Well, I guess can I see? First of all,
Yeah.
does it just impact hearing?
Sure.
I'm not like disoriented.
Sure.
Okay. Can I
It's a massive
tell?
overpressure wave.
Can I tell how disoriented it may have caused the grid to be?
He looks like he may be suffering a lifetime hearing damage as well. Like, he and Quentin both have blood coming out of their ears.
Goodness, this might be a bad idea. I'm probably within 10 meters of him now. So we were 15 last time and I moved 10.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk shooting the woman he's holding, so I would like to charge and tackle him and trying to punch him in the face at the same time.
Okay. I like
Because
this.
technically, I don't know that what he did on the ship to Quentin's brother, which this seems like a terrible idea, but we also know that we want
stunner, yeah.
we want to take him alive. We don't want to kill him. Now we're
Sure.
shooting him might kill him. Shooting him might kill the woman. So
He's currently using both his hands because he's got a knife to this young woman's throat. So
I want to. Maybe I don't want to just punch him in the face. Then I want to try to not have his knife stab the woman as I take him down. Like grab his hands and then try to pin him on the floor.
let's say that'll only happen on a natural one. How about that?
Oh, well, yeah, and I only lose my apprentice on a natural one that Kane rolls.
It was actually two natural ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What am I rolling for this?
I'm trying to find the rules for melee combat here.
I actually don't have.
Okay.
I don't have the punch for a weapon, so I could use monoblade knife and then substitute punch skill and not use that damage, if that helps.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, you could try to stop him from stabbing that woman. You've got the mono knife. You could try to take his hand off at the wrist.
Okay. I
Go for a
I feel like the difficulty for that seems a little tougher. But I
I
don't
believe in yourself.
Well, I'm using knife with punch skill.
Sure.
Just because I feel like it simplifies the roll.
Go ahead.
My God.
25 will definitely hit. 5 damage is gonna knock him down. You run up on him. He's still recovering. He's trying to get the gun back up, but you're you're inside the barrel now. And look, a lot of people say that doing the point down sword, like there's no use case for a point down sword ever, except to look anime or something. This is the one case where you point down as you use your elbow to push the gun out of the way. You punch him right with, you don't actually have a knife, but you punch him down the barrel and hit him in the face, and he falls backwards and drops to the ground. He is now dying. and will either need to be stabilized or slapped with a Lazarus patch if you want to keep him alive.
The
If only the elevator was working.
Yeah, the delay on the elevator miraculously ends now that the two threats seem to have been dealt with.
He'll be dead before she gets there.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
To him.
Man, I feel it. Well, I mean, my turn's over, so I guess I can't help him. So okay,
they're both down. So it's just straight to. So he's at 0 hit points. He will die in 6 rounds, which so she needs to go down, and then 100 feet is slightly.
Here's the thing.
30 meters.
Quentin has Psionic 0 at this point.
Do you have Sucker? Psychic Sucker?
He can stabilize him.
Sure. You can do that
if he wants to.
If you want to.
If he wants
to. Oh, man. I feel like you got to make some sort of character roll to see if he would.
Fish doesn't know that particular patient is critical. Fish is just trying to help because weapon fire was going off.
He probably just saw Van-Vee get shot 3 times and was like, I should go help him.
I mean, he's down on the ground and bleeding to death. He's very obviously a priority. But
yeah.
But
is he like
once Van-Vee took him to the ground, the elevator lockout ended.
We'll see.
So we'll see what happens. But Fish is able to leave now.
It's Quentin's time.
Is he alert in any way, shape, or form when Quentin gets
conscious?
I mean, he's Call of Duty. You know, the screen is getting black. He has to keep tapping F in order to keep from going unconscious. He's spamming "Squad, heal me! Squad, heal me!" over and over again.
Quentin can't hear anything. So there's nothing he can ask this man, and like he's
the point.
Like
I don't think he can hear you either.
This guy can't hear him either. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to be said here. Quentin is over him though, essentially screaming in incoherent rage to a certain degree, like spittle flying from his lips. Like he's nobody can hear him, or at least other people probably can hear him. Maybe, I don't know, but he can't hear himself. But he's basically just lamenting everything like that he has lost at this man, at his hands. Every person he's ever known or loved, his first kiss, his family, his like everything, his students, and it is like coming out. He can't not see everything in this man's bloody body right now. And there's like really no thought to saving him in his head. Like this isn't something he wants or is even like considering. Like it's not in him. He's just screaming, and like the ground around him probably starts to like indent as he is releasing
Super
like,
Saiyan.
Like no. I mean like the ground around
longer
Dutch.
and blonder.
Sorry, to describe this better, the ground around Dutch, like indents start to happen as like essentially telekinetic like impacts start to land around him because he wants to squish him like a bug. Essentially, he's not there yet, maybe, but it's like
Has he achieved a new level?
Yeah, he's
Prince
full of
all
rage.
Saiyans.
I'm interested at that point if Dr. Fish comes down and sees Quentin. But
because she can still hear.
I mean, she was inside the ship, so it's pretty soundproof.
Exactly, she's fine.
Yeah. The ship would need to be soundproof, otherwise everyone would go deaf anytime you fired the weapons.
Yeah, I feel like I do need like some sort of role here to decide if he's even coherent enough to think about trying to keep him for like testimony or evidence.
Listen, I'm not here to compel you to make any rules. Whatever rule you want to make on your behalf is your own business.
Yeah.
Rampage!
Yeah.
Our business is our own. Okay, Master Hobbit. I meant no offense.
I just don't know. Is he going to exhaust it screaming at this guy and then like stabilize him?
Feels like a mental save to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to roll. Go ahead and roll that.
What is
success or failure? Yeah.
Success or fail. Yeah. What does it mean?
You should have established that before you succeeded.
That was why I asked it before he rolled, but he didn't. He was too quick.
No hesitation. Oh man.
I mean, success probably feels like Oh,
gain
okay.
control. Right?
Yeah, I don't think he does in this scenario. I just think it's too much. I think this is the moment that like Quentin crosses that line.
Do you kill him?
Yeah, I think he does. I think essentially he
You let
shouts
the
something
hate
like,
flow
"What do you
through
do
you?"
with a demon? You send it back to hell," and like essentially just lights him on fire at that point.
Jesus.
Quentin can do that. Not to a person, but he can light the ground around him on fire, I guess, technically.
Okay.
Is
I
that
think
what you're doing?
Van-Vee's taking that woman
Yeah,
that
that's
he
what
was
he
holding
does.
away, trying to like turn her away
Okay.
and get her back.
People are beginning to run, even the like 30% that were panicking now that they're deaf and rolling around on the ground. They're like rolling towards any building nearby, holding out their hands for aid. Fish makes her way down and basically looks at a very similar scene of hell, but instead of, well, I was going to say there wasn't a fire this time, but now there is a fire, and you've lit grasslands on fire.
Oh, like tangible force contract around it.
You're gonna make it a
3 meters.
fire kiddie pool and leave him in it?
Literally, it's like
In
a
the
little...
Human Torch cyclone of
How are
fire.
you doing on PowerPoints, by the way?
Let's see. The only thing that has cost him anything is lighting the thing on fire and the 2 tangible force constructs.
All right, just making sure.
So he's at a usage of 4 for the scene, I think.
Fish just begins trying to administer first aid, and at the very least, triaging, like figuring out who's dying, and quickly identifies that the one person who is dying is also on fire, and you're standing over top of them with no care to put them out, and doesn't ask questions.
I think I would help Fish triage as best I can because it's like a repeat, except I'm going based off.
She's
like,
giving you instructions that you can't hear.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm just pointing to my ears and then just saying like direct.
It is a confused time for people as their hearing is slowly restored over a few minutes of advanced space medicine. Quentin, without advanced space medicine, you would never hear again. But fortunately, with TL4 tech on the ship and in her bag, you've probably lost some hearing later.
Got tinnitus now.
Yeah, and probably like you're gonna start losing your hearing in your 80s or 90s rather than in your 120s to 140s. But yeah, that's the price of the game. Dr. Leslie Fish doesn't ask any questions, and the people here are waiting for answers from the only psionic they know as to why you suddenly started opening fire in every direction.
I think technically he opened fire first, but
They don't know that.
okay.
Here's what
they saw Van-Vee not get hit.
They saw, once again, people see me shooting back.
Mm-hmm.
The cough of a rifle 400 meters away, probably with a suppressor. Your shot was the first they noticed.
You fired a laser, and then you
quiet.
fired your ship cannon.
They noticed that one.
Police
That's for
come
sure.
out of nowhere.
It's
take Van-Vee.
I mean, if there's a crowd that's like approaching Quentin, he will talk to them for sure. And,
I mean, they're approaching you, but it's silent. No one's judging you accusatorily or accusing you of anything. They just are waiting for an explanation. This is pretty unusual. I think someone's passing around like big thermoses of coffee into mugs that everyone miraculously has on their belt. You know, like
tin cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I think that scene of normalcy is what snaps Quentin out of essentially a catatonic state at that point, somewhat like just sort of going along with whatever Dr. Fish was doing in terms of medicine, triage, and stuff. And turns to the folks and points to the shuttle, points to Dutch and to the wreckage on the hill, and says, "These things right here are what was responsible, who was responsible for the destruction of our homes, and they have been brought to justice as best we could in this moment."
Now, normally in a role-playing game, we kind of maybe like glaze over things sometimes, right? If you had made this speech in another game or with another character, even in this game, I would want way more of an explanation than that, and I would ask you to make a roll behind it. But we're playing this game, you're playing this character, and they are lead-in citizens. You don't have to make a roll. They automatically accept whatever you tell them as truth.
Yeah.
Even if it's only 2 sentences, they don't need a further explanation. If they did, you would tell them.
Right. Take care, everybody. Clean up this mess as much as we can. That's what we got to do right now. Van-Vee, and he speaks into the air. MINERVA, let's take a look at this shuttle. We need to get whatever information we can out of it. And folks, there's a lot that has happened recently. I don't know what the next few months have in store, but I promise you that we will claw our way out of this. We clawed our way out of the scream, and this will be nothing in comparison.
Van-Vee,
Yes, MINERVA.
if you can get access to the shuttle, I can walk you through setting up a connection to the shuttle so I can access the onboard databanks.
Well, all right. You just might have to walk me through the connection part too. I mean, I know what the parts look like, but you just tell me what to plug in where, and I think we'll be good.
I just need you to get aboard the ship, and I should be able to help you take care of the rest.
That's easy enough. Hey, question: are you detecting any life forms or anything on that hill you blasted? Just want to, I guess, make sure.
I was unable to detect any life signs out there at all, but I was able to detect the rifle.
So you didn't even know, you couldn't sense him beforehand, just his gun. So we don't know. We technically don't know if he's dead or alive, but assuming he's got to be dead, right?
There is no discernible way that any organic organism could have survived that.
No, see, now why you got to bring organic into it? That makes it sound like you could have lived, but all right, I see how it is.
Now, I can't tell you for sure if there's anybody anywhere else, if they're using whatever technology he used to hide from my sensors. I don't know how to penetrate it. I haven't encountered this before.
Do you still detect the rifle?
The rifle has been disassembled.
That's too bad. I think I would have liked that gun. It hurt. It has been disintegrated. By definition, it cannot go back together. That's right. I'm quoting Despicable Me. All right. Well, I'm heading to the ship now. When Dr. Fish is done, I guess doing whatever she's doing with the people, I wouldn't mind her just checking me out. Kind of got shot a few times. Kind of hurt. That's why I wanted the rifle.
Well, that is something that I'm probably not suited to help with.
Well, I just meant if she comes back to the ship, maybe just shoot a message to her from Van-Vee somehow. I don't know.
I can do
Looks
that.
like she rushed out the door. You're getting good at sounding like me. That's all.
Well, if you'd like me to sound like you in this instance, I'm more than willing to.
Sure, have at it. By the way, I'm now on the ship.
Was he able to get on the shuttle?
Or, yeah.
I thought the door was open. Didn't we say that?
It was closed.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I actually do want to cut to a side scene. Soundwave picked up on it, but just to be clear, I recognize this, when it happened. And it happened twice, actually, because as Soundwave posted that comment, Van-Vee also said MINERVA out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fish is nearby and just walked 2 people talk to the air and say MINERVA's name. And there is a dark look over her face. She's trying to figure out what's happening here. I mean, she just watched the normally very even-keeled Quentin. She didn't see you set him on fire. She definitely saw you construct a sort of coffin to burn him alive. And you were standing over him. Yeah, and now you're
probably
talking
saw
to
him screaming a little.
And she could understand what you were saying.
Yep. So when we come back from the break, that'll be its own scene, as will can Van-Vee make his way into the shuttle. What this sort of entertaining content, psychological analysis drama, and breaking and entering. It's the sort of ship salvaging technology you've been waiting for.
Hey, you know what? We might salvage a shuttle.
Season 2, we are the bad guys.
Think about it.
100% the bad guys.
If you were in space, you could tractor the shuttle using your ship grappler arm, but unfortunately, I don't think it. No, your ship grappling arm does work. The tractor beam won't work, but the attachable will. You could get over here and pick this thing up and carry it with you.
Weird.
All right, we'll be back. We'll see you in the second half. I've heard that we're ready to go back. You tell me what's happening.
We're ready for the boss to come out.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're trying to get into the shuttle, right? That was where we left off.
All right. So, look, you have a secure elevator system and a landing ramp that can be lowered from the back of the ship. There's no real way to get onto your ship if you don't want someone to get on without extensive equipment. Like, someone would need to use a grappling hook and rope their way up to your ship, or like climb up your landing pylons and climb upside down, rock climber style. This shuttle, it's a real junker.
Nice.
It lands flat on the ground. It's really just 2 engine ports at the back that are tubes, and then a bunch of thrusters everywhere to help it maneuver, and some like angular plating to give it atmospheric capability, like planes. This is a very Empyrean shuttle, just to be clear. Like, this is something you'd make at the beginning of the game to get into space. Period, end of story. It's got a glass cockpit and like a small area in the back that could seat a few people, and like spaces for a captain and 2 assistants needed to run the ship.
And 1 nuke.
I just feel like if you walk up with a communications interface device and plug it into somewhere into the side of the ship, MINERVA can just hack into it kind of easily.
Well, I mean, that's all I need. I need to be able to get to the ship.
I mean, this ship is easily 80 years old. It's older than your ship, and certainly has no way to resist an artificial intelligence with your level of programming. So, you have full control of the shuttle for what that's worth. It has no weapons. It has bare sensors. It's actually not even registered to Captain Dutch Borkazas. It's registered to Jeanette March, who is a precognitive psychic based on Omura 9. It looks like her registered occupation was card counter.
Okay, Jeanette Marsh.
Jeanette March. March. Sorry, March.
March.
Like the month. Or like something the military would make you do.
And registered as a card counter.
Professional occupation was card counter.
Right.
They hawked casinos.
Where?
Omura
You
9.
don't register as a card counter, like,
right.
you know,
That's bad.
She ripped casinos
That's
off regularly.
bad.
Yeah.
What do you do? Oh, I like to
be
go to
known as,
casinos
anyway.
and,
Yeah.
profile as
you don't
someone's
want the
really good at
casinos to
blackjack.
know you that. Yeah, for sure.
Can we
I suppose with control of the shuttle, I'll open it so that the crew can get on board, and I'll start going through navigation logs.
Okay.
Search through the files. We need evidence. Whatever we can get.
This shuttle's
Where did this come from? Who's
entire computer database was wiped on Omura 9 a few weeks ago.
MINERVA, just because I don't trust these 2 that are no longer with us. There's no like booby trap on here, right? Like if we step on board, there's not gonna be like a clearance code or something, or it's not rigged to blow or anything like that if we go in.
Nothing connected to the electronics.
All right, just checking. Just seems like these 2 would do something like that. That's all.
I mean,
Does
it's.
feel like
I
they're
wouldn't. If you're concerned about it, I wouldn't say to throw out your caution. Something purely mechanical isn't something I'd be able to see.
All right, then I guess I will cautiously approach.
Okay, make a notice check with wisdom.
That ain't good.
Get a 6.
What is 2s and 1s? What is this?
Yeah.
You step through the ship confident that you're in like a kneeling crouch, moving, looking around corners. You're very confident that you've seen everything you need to see. As you make your way forward, you can see that there are 3 bedrooms, and the bedrooms are more like, have you seen the Japanese closet hotels?
Yeah.
They're like that. There is a single bathroom that is a combination shower toilet. And there is something like a food processing area made purely of prepackaged water and food that you insert into a microwave unit and heat up. That said, it does have a small freezer, which looks aftermarket.
Going to the freezer.
Okay. When you open the freezer up, you see the head of a man that looks kind of like Quentin, but totally frozen over.
Immediately closing the freezer.
Okay. There's a real
Quentin there? Did Quentin see
smell. If you wanted to be there and see it, sure.
No, I'll let Van-Vee have done that. Quentin is processing.
So the navigation logs, after they were wiped, it's just going from Omura to here.
Correct. And in actuality, this ship doesn't really have the capability to jump here. They would have had to have had an expert navigator in the same way that Van-Vee is capable of making a 2 jump on a 1 drive.
Okay.
The logs corroborate that. Back tracing their activity, this is definitely the ship that dropped the nuclear weapon. The one thing that definitely stands out to you about the ship is that it does have an aftermarket mod installed on it that is taking up a huge amount of system programming, which is the emergency drill mod, which allows it to make spike drills in atmosphere.
Okay. I'll wait for someone to check in with me. I know that they're doing their own thing right now.
I'm basically just poking around the ship, and I guess I would report back to Minerva. Minerva, I don't know if Cap's ready to see this, but there's a head that looks kind of like his head in the freezer. He has a right to know, of course. I don't know if right now is the right time to tell him this. He just burned a man alive. But other than that, there's really nothing all that much interest in here. Kind of boring run-of-the-mill shuttle.
I agree, and I'm not sure. I guess I don't really have an answer for you. I would suspect that the longer you wait, the more upset he'll be with you for not saying what you have to say.
Quentin would probably be talking to the other lead-ins and essentially just, occasionally staring off into the distance and sort of like trailing off in what he might be saying. He's trying to ask, if they know, how many people, if there's any like, I don't know, what am I trying to think? Like radiation sickness issues that they're dealing with, like trying to figure out what the like scope of the issues on planet for the survivors are right now.
All the information they have comes from letters passed and word of mouth
by Dutch.
From Dutch.
Yeah, exactly.
They gladly sent psychics with Dutch because he said he was
like
taking
rubbing his face, and he's
to
like,
a
oh,
rendezvous point.
Yeah, he hears that. He knows exactly what happened, I assume, at that point. I
think it was really weird that Dutch kept saying he couldn't take precogs or telepaths with him.
Are there any surviving psychics? He starts asking, like, who's nearby, or,
They're all dead.
Yeah, all of the nearby ones, or everyone.
They all
two
went
that
with
he has
Dutch.
found so far. Okay.
As you're finishing up, you probably see Van-Vee exit.
Hold on. Minerva, you've got your own problem. Someone is attempting to access the ship's sensor log data from about 2.5 weeks ago. They are checking for a replay of everything that happened on Rose Moon, and they are trying to trace the footsteps of Minerva and what happened to her. And they are looking for, they are specifically looking for any massive information transfers that happened at or near her recorded time of death.
Oh, she's smart for someone who doesn't know how to deal with technology.
Well,
Dr. Fish is not on the ship.
yeah. Can I tell where this transmission is coming from?
I mean, it's definitely coming from Canto. It's not, I mean, it's not transmission. She's just accessing data on the ship.
Oh,
Spud.
well, I mean, she knows.
Yes, she does. I just wanted to make sure if you wanted to do anything to stop her from getting this information.
View access only, no writing or downloading.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stop her from looking at it. I'll stop her if she tries to edit it.
She does try to edit it. She tries to not only delete it, but leave it so it looks like the files were corrupted.
Wow, she's doing you a solid. Holy shit.
I guess I will send a text message to her terminal she's working on. I don't want to just appear in the room, and because I did make an agreement with the crew. And the message will just be like, can I help you with something?
She just speaks out loud in her quarters and is still trying to request, trying to use corruption 21 blaster.exe. Keeps trying to run it while being denied, and she says, Leslie called me a few minutes ago asking some questions, and I thought maybe I would cover some tracks before something happens. I knew that you'd be watching me, so you'd pick up on this pretty quick. I wouldn't have to explain it twice. Can you give me access?
I'll let her do it. And I'll make sure she's only messing with stuff to cover up Minerva's missingness.
Yeah, of course. You only bend your morals when it comes to...
Yeah, I didn't say it this time.
Then you hear her get back on her communicator, and it just, I'm so sorry, Leslie. It looks like, there was shooting, and there's some sort of interference. Everything on that moon was really weird. I'll try to see if I can recover the data, but I'm not a data scientist. Meanwhile, Quentin, outside of the shuttle, on the call with Minerva and Van-Vee. What's going on with you?
I think as your speech was finishing, you might notice Van-Vee coming out of the shuttle, and you see him start to go towards you. Then he stops. Then goes back towards Golden Goose. Then he stops. Then he comes back towards Quentin, and just very slowly and quietly puts his hand on your shoulder and says, Cap, you gotta check that shuttle out for yourself. I guess check out the freezer.
Yeah, he just kind of deflates even more so. And okay.
I'll make sure no one disturbs you, sir.
Starts walking over. And yeah, I mean, looks around. Did you tell him to check the freezer specifically? I assume, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a clever way of saying like check where it's coldest, but whatever. Check the freezer.
He goes and he opens it and he sees his Uncle Ethan's head. I see. And
How much medical training do you have? Do you have any training at all?
I have none. No.
Okay.
I have
And
psionics
you don't
0.
know that his head was sawed off while he was still alive.
Okay.
But at least you don't know that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, that's
Burn
the
a
thing.
corpse
Like I
again.
said, Quentin deflated when Van-Vee said to go look at the shuttle. He probably felt like there wasn't anything left in him to give, and the sight of this head, like, just silent tears, but like just starts leaking, like it's just coming out, like, and he doesn't feel it, he doesn't notice, he doesn't know what to do. This is just a pile, yeah, straw that broke the camel's back to a degree. It's just all too much. He can't handle it. Yeah, there's I don't know if there's anything that he would do with it. He would leave it, shut the door, knows who it is, doesn't know what to do about it right this second, and then walks out of the shuttle.
I think when you come back out of the shuttle, you probably see Van-Vee is trying to start to dig like a burial or something. He's already started digging somewhere, not like in the center of town, if that's where we are, but some space away.
Quentin walks over and puts his hand on Van-Vee's shoulder and says, "Who's that for?"
Well, I just assumed after what we did for, I can't remember the name. I know Van-Vee would, the guy that we, the psionic that we encountered on, I can't remember the planet. The guy we encountered, then we went to our mission, came back, and he was
Old Gahara.
Yeah, that guy. I just assumed, sir, after seeing what you did for Old Gahara, well, that feller in the freezer looked an awful lot like you. Would want to do something similar.
Yeah, it's my Uncle Ethan. He must have tried to stop them.
Sorry to hear that, sir.
Yeah, no, we will lay him to rest. I don't think here's the place, but I do appreciate the gesture and jumping to it. That means a lot. That means a lot.
Fair enough. Then I guess I'll just put the burnt corpse in this one.
Yeah, there you go. No marker.
Works for me.
And he starts walking back towards the ship, taps, to get MINERVA's attention. And yeah, he's just trying to keep himself busy a little bit. So he's thinking about recovery efforts and like what he can do to help as much as possible. And he asked MINERVA to essentially map the radiation, figure out where safe zones are, what's the max distance people can be, and start figuring out who we might need to check on.
Do I have to make a roll to get a sense that he's trying to get busy to avoid crashing?
I don't think so.
Okay. Captain, I can certainly accomplish those things. I believe there's something you might be able to help me with.
What do you need?
If you can help me understand the logistical difficulties, we can start to put together a list of needs of things that we will need to help put together to help your people.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I'm not entirely sure all of what occurred in the facility of the Academy, but I'm sure there are things that we'll need that if we put together, we can coherently help recover or replace for the good of your people.
So much has been lost. It's our only damn city.
Well, if we if we don't focus on the loss and we focus on the needs of your people, we can start to help them all.
Yeah, no, it's all that matters. Yeah, let's do that, and he will go somewhere in the ship to start trying to make that list of just supplies that he can think of, things that like the central city would have been completely in charge of, and otherwise.
And I will map out areas affected by the radiation so that he can distribute like maps to be passed around for like, hey, don't go to these places.
Yeah, that's basically his goal. Is he's going to start doing that. He's probably going to sit down and start like writing a letter as well himself to just like disseminate that information with like words from him. I don't know if there's like some official seal that he has to figure out to make sure they know it was from him, so to speak, or not. Start that process. His mind's going 90 miles an hour. Doesn't know what to do, but it's just like taking any ideas that MINERVA throws at him to start, building out the logistics of what he can do, what they can do to start organizing any sort of relief or help for people.
I'd like you to make a roll to organize this. For sure. I mean, I'm going to give you a negative because you don't have any experience running an entire planet, but
got to administer 0.
Yeah, that's good. Administer with intelligence at a -1 to this. At
-1.
8, you can keep the planet running at a bare minimum level.
Is there anything I can do to help with this role?
Is there?
I mean, if he's sort of shotgunning information in, is there any way that I can help with organizing the information he's putting in to try to help him not get lost?
Okay.
I feel like there's someone else on the ship you could ask for help with this.
I mean, he's definitely planning on talking to Dr. Fish to assist, essentially.
Either way, it's only going to come out to a +1, which will cancel the -1.
This cancels out the 0. Yeah. That works.
But at least there's
Take
that.
what we get, right?
It's more than just minimum level of services. I mean, there is no functional seat of government. You are running the government via postal mail sent by your ship and the shuttle.
We have 6 like cell phones, quote unquote, that might be functional on planet.
People aren't going to use them. They don't trust them.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, irrelevant. Go on.
I mean, the real problem here is maybe you can figure out what you need to do, but it's stating what you need to do concisely enough in a paper letter that someone who receives it can understand it and is capable of executing those instructions. At a 10, you can't get things back to normal, but you can make it so that no one's going to run out of food tomorrow or even next month. People will continue. I mean, Leda is a fairly independent planet to begin with. People's lives are going to continue. No one's going to fall over and just be like, well, there's no food, there's no water, we're just doomed. There's no hope.
Oh, one thing I'll throw out there: if we're doing this is over any length of time. Quentin has been around the planet a fair amount in his time here. He did recently gain the ability to teleport up to 1,000 kilometers, and he can do that as often as he wants.
Pretty much the inhabitable part of the planet.
Jeez. Yeah. So essentially, as part of that, I guess.
Does it cost you anything to do it?
No, he can do that all day.
That will certainly help in letter delivery.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. He literally pops around to every like place that's got like more than like a couple hundred people that he can think of that he's ever been. He hand delivers these like written instructions to make this happen for whatever it happens to be. Tries to get like as many psychics as he can find who might still be alive.
If you can move around rather than handwritten letters, people just take your letter and then have you sit down at their table and serve you pico de gallo and a bunch of beans and jauja fruit, and are just like, look, just tell us what we need to do. Come sit at our table. And like they'll gather all their entire extended family to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
Like you're here to talk to one person and you're talking to 14 people, and there's a little
He'll do
kid
this
kicking you in the
tirelessly too.
shins.
Like it'll be like 48 hours later before he stops like not having slept. Like
So with the information that you've provided, is Minerva aware of the fact that there's now going to be a critical drug shortage?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something the planet is absolutely talking about, right?
talk to me what that what that actually looks like in game, because there's like no mechanics in the book about it. So like is this like a points of exhaustion, like, and then like death eventually?
No, you'll immediately go into burnout, which is covered in the game.
Well, it just never mentions anything about medication being required for anything. So
it does mention that MES requires consistent medication.
When I read it, it was basically like once you hit like the ability to control it,
So
then there's no danger.
You don't, because you're a metapsionicist.
Okay.
You have the ability to avoid it. Everybody else needs medication for their MES. On top of a couple of other things.
Okay.
So this is something that once, in one of the times when Quentin is off delivering messages, Van-Vee would have talked to Minerva about, because we talked about it last episode a little bit, or an hour ago, pre-battle a little bit. But reaching out to Carlita as someone who knows how to produce drugs, probably knows how to produce MES medication. And so without Quentin's knowledge, Van-Vee was going to think this is something that him and Minerva could do, is reach out to Carlita Sonesta to try to see if there's a way they can quid pro quo. You help us in this dire situation for Luda. We owe you.
In this time frame, Quentin would have told you all about like Mark Marino for sure, if we hadn't mentioned, at least that's the name that he knows is the like person ultimately responsible as well. We don't know, to my knowledge, we don't know that he is related to the cartel specifically. Correct, AP?
I mean, a general search of a database would tell you that, but you don't have such access right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Mark Marino, Okay. So I think in this message that Van-Vee would be sending to Carlita, he would probably include all 4 names that we've encountered, just to get Carlita's reaction, but also see if he'd willing to help. Is Dutch, Killian, Mark, and then Janet March, just because. Why not? So just using all 4 names, handing them over to Carlita and just saying, listen, some combination of these names is responsible for what just happened on Lita. We're trying desperately to help how we can. Is there anything you can do to help produce MES drugs? And, we'll owe you a solid. We'll figure it out. I don't know what we can offer you at this time, but we've worked together in the past. This would mean a lot. Something like that.
Okay. I mean, that message is going to be saved in your ship and sent to a Exchange of Light satellite the next time you enter a system with an Exchange of Light satellite. You know what I mean? There isn't one here. Yeah. It's in your message buffer right now.
Well, it was like, remember when we jumped in, the shuttle tried to give us the messages to pass on?
Mm-hmm.
How fast, if you're bamfing around the planet for 2 days straight, how long would it take Van-Vee to jump out and jump back?
I mean, it takes you
8 days roughly.
Okay, never mind. Totally out of the question.
2 days to get to the edge of the system, and then
6 days if you don't do anything else, like besides jump there and back.
All right, never mind.
And fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it would be 8 days round trip to get to another system and then back to the planet.
Which is like not ridiculous to try to do potentially, but
yeah, I wouldn't leave for 8 days.
Depends on how long we're going to be here.
talking to Quentin first.
Yeah.
My concern, Van-Vee, is there is granted, my perspective on this might not be quite the same as I believe it to be. There's a significant amount of technology related to psionics that I have not encountered since you found me. I am concerned that there may have been some of those capabilities in this academy. If it were so easy to have more of these academies, don't you think our captain would not be quite so motivated to find another?
I mean, I don't disagree, Minerva. I don't know what else to do to try to help the psionics that are left. I mean,
from what we understand, that shipyard is a destination that had potentially another academy, which means it may already have all the manufacturing technology required in order to produce these.
Just to be clear, it's not a shipyard. It's a mandate naval base.
A naval base.
Well, I don't disagree. Do you think we have that much time? I mean, I'm just trying to get a quick Band-Aid for anything. Any little help.
I don't have much direct experience with psionics. I just know some of the broad strokes of how things were, functions that were. I couldn't tell you the mechanism of the drug. I understand the concept of burnout. I couldn't explain to you the process in detail or anything like that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send this message, and if Carlito says impossible, not going to happen, don't have the technology, can't do it, need the recipe, blah 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 blah, you can tell me I told you so. But if he's right, then we help Quentin out.
I'm not interested in proving you wrong, and I'm not saying we shouldn't send the message.
Insight check. I'm just kidding.
I just want to make sure that we have as many avenues pursued as we can.
Well, isn't that what I'm doing?
I'm just coming up with more.
All right, well, let's do both.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't believe. I'm uncertain of the Golden Goose making that trip. I know when we talked about the Academy previously, this ship is, if there is an automated security system for it, this ship will most certainly not be recognized as a friendly ship. But it is possible that I might be. I don't know what kind of timeline we have, and I know that we have some time to wait before the spike drive is ready. But we could try to reduce that delay by maybe speaking with your family about some material support in repairing the ship so it's ready to just receive the spike drive.
Yeah, like when you say your family, like Van-Vee remembers, oh shit, I told my family to go to Astapel and I'd meet them urgently. Shoot, for all I know, they're there waiting now. And I gotta say, based on the last messages, I didn't exactly leave things on the best of terms. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. I probably need to get to Astapel sooner rather than later.
If you agree that this is a path that we might be able to follow, then this might be something, if presented that way to the captain, then it means that meeting your family could also be a priority for the ship, not just a priority for you.
Geez, when we say it like that, it means it might actually happen as opposed to never.
Is this sound? Do you agree?
I mean, it doesn't hurt. I don't. Put it in plain English. What do we ask my family for here? Because I got to tell you, that needs to come after a whole lot of history is revealed and aired out between my father and I.
Understood. To keep things as short as possible, your family acquiring the materials that you would need to fix me.
What, you mean your big ship?
Yes, the Hasta.
Well, I mean, okay. But that ain't gonna be ready for a while. How's that gonna help us? Maybe I misunderstood, but I feel like the MES drug is something that we need like ASAP. We're starting to talk about overhauling your you're hostile. I mean, that ain't a quick project, is it? I mean, sure, we can get the commitment. I'm struggling to see the connection here, though.
If we find that there is no alternative, if the technology to create these drugs is lost, then we will need my ship to try to safely get to the academy.
We better hope there's still some psionics left to save at that point. But I mean, I guess as a last ditch effort, yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I ain't disagreeing with you, but I think we need faster solutions.
There's a lot we don't understand about this degradation. We don't. I mean, we need to have a conversation with the captain about how much time we have.
That's true. That's true. I'm making a lot of assumptions. Just seemed pretty urgent when. You were hot, Mike, when we went and saw that old professor, the other professor, and the little girl. Basically said they were living off reserves, and so Van-Vee interpreted it as they're cutting into reserves basically to stay alive.
It's possible. I think the captain would know best what measures could be taken to extend this as long as possible. I mean, this could be as simple as they don't use their powers. I don't know.
I
mean, MINERVA has no way to know that.
Where is the captain right now? Do we have like a little bell on him when he's bamfing around? Do we know where he teleports and appears at?
I know where his communicator is.
Oh, that's probably good enough.
As long as
keep that with him.
As long as he leaves it on and he's still wearing it. It's on right now. I'm presuming he's wearing it.
We cut over to Quentin. Yeah. He's having his third chips and salsa of the day. Each one delicious. A special home-cooked recipe. They all taste exactly the same, but they swear that it's the grandmother's recipe.
Mm-hmm. But this is like normal. That part is normal for Quentin. Like that's like how Leedens just greet you and take you into your home at that point.
Someone is serving you a dish of fried tortilla pieces. Like someone took a tortilla stack, chopped it into cubes, deep fried that, and then put it inside of a tortilla.
Tortilla dos fritos?
It's a tortilla taco.
All right. He is all about that.
This is a
carbs.
real food, by the way. I'm not making this up. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
this is called.
It sounds chimichanga-ish.
Yeah,
I mean, a chimichanga has beans in it, my brother. This is fried tortilla.
Yeah,
in a tortilla.
Then you dip it in like some sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it this week on Army Techs.
Yes, Quentin's going through his motions.
We cut back to MINERVA and Van-Vee discussing.
Well, while we wait for the captain to return, I do have some information about the shuttle you may find interesting.
Oh, yeah, do tell. I mean, why are you waiting until now to tell me? Gosh, I could have explored more when I was on it. What's going on?
There were other things going on, and as long as the captain is busy doing something, we have time.
Let's be clear, you can use that shuttle.
Yeah, that's what it's like. We're going to make use of it for sure.
Yeah, but I'll let him know, like, I'll give him some general spec stuff that I was able to pull from the database, including that it has the in-atmosphere spike system.
Like some
rip that out and install it on them.
I don't think these things can be ripped out. They're somewhat permanent. You can try to salvage the leftovers. You'll destroy the spike drive in the ship in the process.
Oh, well, that's not ideal.
Yeah, I was actually wondering the opposite. I mean, I don't know what I would want to do to it, but are there any modifications or just updates we'd want to try to make?
Oh, yeah.
Don't
Can
require
you
a workshop
anything
in the next 2 days just to make it more usable for the planet Leda. What that would be, I honestly don't know off the top of my head.
Can MINERVA make a VI that can pilot it, because no one here can pilot because they ride copy bots?
I mean, would they even get on it and want to use it? I'm sure I could write a basic flight VI with some pre-programmed locations that people can get on, like a
would
bus.
They be willing to? They sent psionics on it, so I mean, essentially, yeah, they should definitely be willing to use it because they definitely did.
Can you write the VI, put one of your spider bots, your Roger Rogers on it, and his whole job is to cart out the mail truck, then bring it back and just go back and forth delivering the mail?
Yeah, essentially like a little mail delivery truck. That would be useful for sure. Its ability to run some routes.
I'm sure I could write a VI on a predictable path where it just will constantly fly from location at the same times, so people they know the timing of the mail deliveries.
We're gonna make a roll. You're gonna tell me how good of a pilot you want this thing to be.
It's never nothing about what I want this to do is ever going to take it out of the atmosphere.
You want it to be able to, I mean, listen, when it comes to flying, 90% of flying is going to be takeoff and landing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hit a bird in the air. What happens?
I don't know that there's much difference between learning how to fly in the atmosphere and learning how to fly in space when you have infinite delta V.
I'd say when taking off and landing, it will not put any humans in danger or any buildings.
Yeah. Safety first, that's for sure.
Preferably open fields, not a tree.
Flies like a grandma.
I mean, it doesn't need to be a really good pilot. It just needs, and I'll have it written so that all the pre-assigned locations on its circuit, it'll land like 500 meters away. And then it'll sit there for an hour and then pick up and move to the next location.
Okay. I'm gonna.
So a really basic pilot.
Let's see here.
Just picturing one of the Roger, your mail is here. Just repeating that for the rest of his life.
Okay, so creating this will cost 20,000 credits worth of programming hours.
Okay.
And I believe an expert programmer does have a certain number of credit hour payments. So just keep on holding on. I'm working on figuring out. This is going to take you a long time to make, but you have the ability to split yourself, which will probably greatly increase the speed at which you complete this.
And I think at this point, I could technically split myself into like 60 different MINERVAs, I think, at this level.
I mean, you're probably going to have to. It will take you 200 days to complete this.
Okay.
Even if the roll was successful.
Okay, let me look up specifically how many MINERVAs I can make right now.
Yeah,
since that does actually
that will make a big difference.
It's gonna make a big difference.
Okay, so you guys can do what you're doing while I look this up because I'll be doing this in the background, I guess.
Perfect. Yeah. As MINERVA super splits, Quentin probably does eventually make his, at the end of like probably 4 to 8 hours of visiting as many places as he possibly can, trying to find as many living psionics as he can, catalog names, abilities, basically he's doing his best to take a census of survivors.
You managed to find 4 surviving psychics. 3 of them are telepaths and 1 is a precog.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The ones he didn't want on the ship for obvious reasons.
The precog started the conversation with, "I knew you were coming."
You always do. You always do. That's how he always responds, right? And then he does make his way back to the Goose at that point. But he goes to see Dr. Fish.
What are you telling these psychics to do? Right?
What am I telling them to do? So he's essentially trying to get...
There is no functional authority left on
That's exactly it. He's trying to find as many folks as he can, the next, who could be potentially, a rallying point for any other survivors. And if there's only 4 that he finds in this entire process and no word of others, then that's not looking great. These 4 probably does not include the 2 kids that he did meet.
That's correct. But neither of them are fully trained psychics to begin with.
Right, exactly. So he is basically going to gather as many of those folks as he can, find the most senior person and say, look, you're going to have to take care of these few right now. Keep looking for others. We don't know what's going to happen next, but essentially he's going to build them up to do their best over the next little bit that they've got. He's not telling them when he's going to leave because he doesn't know yet, but he says that he is going to support them. He's going to do everything he can to get psionics who are off-world back to the world. We're going to rebuild the academy, yada yada. He builds them up essentially as much as he can, essentially saying that
I'd like a
we will come back from this. Yeah,
with charisma.
Yes.
Okay. People are into it. You arrive August 14th, extremely tired. You haven't slept in 48 hours. Your
What day?
internal time, sorry, I said August, but I meant April 14th. 3200. You are on the verge of collapse. For you, ship's clock time, it's nighttime, but it's noon here on the western regions of Lita. You receive a final bing on your computer terminal indicating you have a message from Leslie Fish, and the RE line is distribution of medication on board.
He opens it.
It's a proposal
And
to
I was gonna say I actually had intended to teleport essentially in front of her door, so he's like got his hand up to knock, and he notices the message.
her proposal is that, with the exception of the bare minimum needed to get you to Amura, Astapel, any of the, so like for you probably like 1 week's worth of medications to unload all of the regular medical supplies and all of the MES medication from the shuttle and from the Golden Goose onto the planet and distribute it from there.
Yeah, he essentially completes his knock and pulls like a wadded up set of papers out of his pocket as he does so after reading that message, and knocks on her door.
Okay.
So you said it was going to take, what, 2,000 hours to do?
200 hours.
200? Without spending, well,
That's 200
spending
days. 200
Days. Yeah.
spending one processing point a day, I can be 6,561 Minervas.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Man, you two have broken characters teleporting everywhere and multiplying.
I know, right?
I proposed this character with an agreement that I was not going to be bullshitting.
Okay.
All I've done is roll really high on health.
You can finish the program in 1 hour. Actually, it's something like 73% of an hour, but let's call it an hour.
Okay.
That will require, however, your entirely full attention to programming.
Yeah.
It was like something Van-Vee and Quentin have probably never seen from Minerva.
Yeah. If you wish for me to write this, to create this VI, I will be completely unavailable to you for 1 hour.
Oh, however will I live.
I do need a roll from you. Programming roll to solidify this. You just need to hit an 8. Okay. There's no bells and whistles. It's fully optimized. Its job is a taxi service for people and messages, and it will travel between the 4 major points of the forest edge and I'd say major cities, but let's call them important settlements that you've chosen
Villages.
to invest your psychics in.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Quentin does leave essentially a psychic in charge of each location, and doing their best.
And it is at least designed to be it's basically an automated bus. So it's there, so it's really predictable when it will arrive, and it will stay there for the same amount of time.
I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be like the Japanese Shinkansen, where people are going to show up to get on it, and it's going to arrive exactly on time. A voice will be like, please stand back from the barrier.
Yeah, basically.
Van-Vee's contribution.
I'm sorry, we're running 2 seconds behind.
is just because I'm fresh off a vacation from the beach, and every time the ice cream man shows up, a bell goes ding 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 ding. This thing's gonna have that ding every time it lands.
Beautiful.
So you guys can do what you want. For if you want to do something during that hour, knowing that Minerva's not around. I don't know.
It's like, what, 1 a.m. Quentin is knocking on Dr. Fish's door.
Well, that's 1 a.m. for you. It's noon local time.
Oh, yeah. Noon local time.
You talk to Dr. Fish. He opens the door.
Yeah,
Quentin.
I look like shit. Yeah, Quentin looks like shit. That's for sure. He looks at her. He holds up a wad of papers and says, leading citizenship if you want it.
I have to be honest with you, and I realize this might be a little soon for the joke, but I'm gonna have to take a look at property values. I'm assuming they recently took a nosedive.
He snorts.
Are you
And
planning
that
to
snort turns.
stay on this planet?
She can continue that statement. He snorts, and that snort turns into tears, and he essentially starts to break down in response to that joke and his exhaustion. And yeah, that's his response to that.
She's much smaller than you, and she puts a hand up on the side of your face and says, "Hey, I'm serious. Are these people staying here?"
It takes him a minute to collect himself, but he does eventually sniffle his way through a response of they'd never leave.
Are you telling me you want me to stay here?
I'm not saying you have to stay. You don't have a home, and this is the only home I got, and I'm just offering it to you two. And I need somebody else who cares about this the way I do right now.
Now, I need you to know that on the inside, this is a person who is a fan of Frontier Pioneer Woman being offered an opportunity to do essentially what she was already doing on a TL1 planet. Like, this is as close to home in terms of medical equipment as she could already get. On the other hand, she's been flying around in a spaceship for a little while and is kind of getting comfortable with that as well. So this has really got her torn.
Mental save.
So what she says is, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to settle here. I don't know if I'll ever come back, but I could use the citizenship. So yes. And if I thought I could set up a hospital on this planet, maybe I would. But these people are extremely hostile to the idea of technology. I wouldn't be surprised if someone shot your flying bus out of the air.
Yeah, they are. They're stubborn. No, I'm not asking you to stay for good or nothing. I just, if anybody could help, I mean, you certainly fit the bill.
Look, I know
So
the ingredients that go into the drug. I've talked to several people locally. I know where all the ingredients are sourced from, which villages. I don't know the process to make it or the ratios.
I know.
But I think if we had some of the drug, which obviously we do, and we could find a chemist with a production facility, we might be able to reverse engineer. And by we, I mean not me. But I mean, we have everything we need except the recipe, and a particularly clever person with a lot of time could make this with the knowledge we have. You know more people than me. Do you know any chemists?
Not
Rich
personally.
chemists?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Jace Bronwyn? I don't know what the hell he does. Robots.
I don't know who that is.
It's
Okay.
irrelevant.
Look, I didn't want to have to bring it up, but I do know some people. Dangerous people.
Yeah.
Probably
your
never heard of
your
them.
friend, the pilot.
Yes. Probably never heard of them, but it's a dangerous criminal cartel of drug users called the Trinity Corporate Alliance.
Yeah. We did a job for them once. Took a favor. Yeah, I'm familiar, but they might be a good resource. Honestly, I don't know what to do next. This is definitely a reasonable idea. I'm barely thinking straight, Doctor. I just wanted to give you the
Okay, go to bed.
opportunity for a home.
I mean, she signed her citizenship papers. She's officially a citizen of Theta now.
Yeah, I'm the beauty and leader that I did.
And the great news is she doesn't have any taxes to pay.
Exactly. Yeah. He does leave at that point, I suppose. He got some assurance that she's now at least attached to Lita and feels like someone who's competent, who's not him, will care potentially. That's like part of what his goal with that. And he will go collapse and pass out as well at that point.
You're really doing what you can to make it April 15th before the end of this episode. So congratulations. Unless Van-Vee and MINERVA stop us in a final scene, we will in fact advance to the Ides of April, which means faction turn.
Just visiting the auto dock to see if I got hurt. On that, I'm good.
Very well.
I've never actually been shot before. Everyone else has missed. So
You might as well just refill your hit points. I mean, between the auto dock and fish, you would be fine.
do.
I don't have an outro scene this time around because I put all my time into theorizing the intro scene with our 5 militant.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called now. The Catholic robots.
The Imago Dei.
Yeah, the 5 Imago Dei members. So I didn't write an outro sequence. But let's talk about XP. I think we would be hard pressed to say anyone completed any part of their long-term goals.
Yeah.
Maybe Van-Vee. He keeps trying to push people to helping find his dad so he can find his mom, which I think
he's got MINERVA on board.
I will give you one for that. Van-Vee, you made no attempt to contact Carlito. You even came up with a plan that you then refused to execute. So I feel like I can't give you one for that.
I wrote a letter.
You wrote the message.
You wrote a letter that you never sent or made any attempt to send. I mean, Quentin, you said find the space some more, and I feel like you didn't do that either.
We didn't, for sure.
MINERVA was convinced the crew to pregame the hosta, which I also feel like wasn't even remotely attempted. There was just so much going, and
we helped lead.
I think Van-Vee gets the single point of XP this session.
That's it. That's fair. That's fair.
Oh my god, what a rough episode! So much happened too, which is the crazy thing.
We don't get any progress towards saving the psionics by setting up a logistics chain for them.
We did give them a functional, semi-functional,
and his admin
network
role to try to get these communities coordinated.
Do we have a thing? Do we have a goal for Save the Psionics?
Wasn't that the crew goal?
I thought the crew goal was set up a partnership between Golden Goose LC and Vostro Construction.
I proposed it and it was rejected.
Leave Lita.
Yeah, then everyone will also get a point for the crew goal. So
it's
still the smallest amount of XP we've ever handed out.
It sure is, yeah. It's about time, though. We should slow down.
It's about time. We should slow down now that we're basically at the end of the game in terms of levels.
Yeah, exactly. That's when it slows down naturally. There's bigger numbers.
I guess Van-Vee falls asleep. He's looking up better armor.
Yeah, Quentin is not sleeping without help either. I'd say it's
good thing you've got a capybara
he's hitting a
capybara that just shows up and delivers you with an apple that's infused with NyQuil.
Yeah.
You do have your best friend.
Yeah.
Do you just go
he's got.
You not even sleep in your own room? You just go sleep with Louis?
He's definitely doing that. Yeah, he's in Louis barracks or whatever.
He has his own room.
Yeah, his own room. He's in there with him for sure, cuddled up on the living.
Those are the official lyrics, by the way.
100%. Yeah.
Anything else we'd like to cover? Sometimes we got a lot to talk about at the end of an episode.
Can't wait for the next one, man.
Was this our first real combat that didn't involve two people chasing
legitimate
each other
contact.
and
Yeah.
shooting each other behind a geriatric theme park?
Yep.
Hey,
This
he
is the
started it.
first like.
It's also the
real
first
combat.
time the sand thrower has been used.
That's true.
It is.
I obliterated a man.
It did its job.
Bum, 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 bum. Well. It looks like Dungeons and Dragons is getting a webtoon for The Legend of Drizzt.
Oh,
Can't get rid of this goddamn elf.
Oh boy.
we'll see how that works out.
I'm curious to see what happens on the faction turn.
Same.
Well.
Who's
Even
going to
when I
attack
do
us
it,
that
you
we'll have
won't
to...
know. You won't know what happens until you find your way back to a system with a phone system. So, who knows?
Wait, we don't get to make decisions?
I mean, you've put those decisions in the hands of. I mean, again, you're out of contact. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, all right.
if you
We've gotta leave
if you
Lita.
want to run an organization in space, you
No,
need
that's
to
completely
pick up the damn
valid.
phone.
Yeah, I'm chill with that.
The great news is that your organization has a goal, and there actually isn't much many actions you can take other than peaceable kingdom, which is already your goal.
We can buy some stuff, right? Yeah, let's
You
buy that.
could if you had a phone.
If we had a phone. I love it.
You need to get the exchange of light up on Lita.
Sure do.
Yeah, the thing is, you'd also have to have regular ship traffic to lead it as well.
That's a long
I don't think Lita wants that. Imagine how angry your citizens would be if there was suddenly a bunch of ship traffic to the planet.
I promise none of these shuttles
So
have
far, they
nukes.
just do what Quentin says. Yeah, it's not something he's going to be trying to get a ton of people to come to Lita. That's for sure.
That would introduce a whole new level of danger to them.
For sure.
Lead in tourism.
I mean, them trees, though.
The capybaras, man. Listen, you're talking about trees. You got to hit the main selling point.
I mean, them cappies, too. Yeah.
Them cappies.
Scritch.
Okay. When you say cappies, I start thinking BattleTech.
I thought that too.
Damn cappies.
Only the best Solaris pilots come from there.
Just lot. They're always making it. They're always fighting. Helens and Davians, Capellans and Lyrans, Capellans and Compellans. Damn Capellans, they ruined Capella. When that part is actually true, the Capellans did ruin Capella.
No, they don't fight the clanners because they're smart.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Second.
I think during Task Force Serpent storyline, they said the Capellans send a single elite regiment who end up fucking around the whole time, and everyone else everyone openly hates them because they're lazy and they don't know what they're doing. They made the writers made no attempt to hide the fact that everybody hates the Capellans, and that the CEO of the company's like, well, guys, Capella is great. We're gonna make them the main character in Dark Ages.
Oh, goodness.
This was definitely a session where, like in other ones, we've had the time and the space to find ways to squeeze in random stuff to try to do our goals. But there was so much stuff to do that was just so much more important than any of our own shit.
I know how Quentin wants to try to complete his goal, but that's just it. Like, there's where do you fit it in? There's so much good stuff happening. That's like the thing that I've always enjoyed about this show. Is we always have just stuff that's like,
that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
admittedly, if I knew there was no exchange of if I remembered there was no exchange of light and we couldn't send out a message, I probably wouldn't have picked a goal as send out a message. It just feels like a stupid task.
I thought you guys would be leaving the planet this episode.
I thought so
I kind of thought I did
putting
too.
down roots.
It took a minute. Yeah, longer than I don't know. Combat
was the first hour.
First half,
15.
yeah.
But the
We're
combat
definitely leaving next episode.
itself
Your
was only like 2 rounds. It wasn't
your
that long.
power that makes it so that you can get by without the MES drugs. That's the one that's used for training, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you can affect other people with it. How many people can you affect with it?
10. So but we would have to be able to take 10 people with us if he was going to try to protect 10 people.
Right.
There are thousands
gathering
of
information.
psychics.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gathering information in my head.
Well, he's only found 4 on survivors.
I mean, they're
like,
all throughout the sector, so.
There was
exactly.
there was specifically someone assassinating them.
I know. Trust me. I'm not.
Take those 4 plus the 2 kids.
Protesting
Leave
that.
behind Dr. Fish.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave Dr. Fish behind. I feel like as soon as we leave Dr. Fish, one of you is going to get domed, and we're going to desperately need a doctor.
Dr. Fish isn't in a rush to get off the ships. You guys are the ones that keep saying she should leave without telling her.
I have never been on the get her off the ship train.
Yeah. Quentin's not trying to kick her off here either. And he wasn't trying to get her to necessarily stay, although it is an option for her. It is just a matter of like literally what he said. Like, this is the closest planet. He was going to give her citizenship to Lita at some point anyway, essentially, as like, a reward or like, not, you know what I mean? Like just like a friendship type thing. Like, he has a place he can give her to call home. Essentially, he was going to do that one way or another.
You have an option to call home now.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how.
I'm actually surprised.
But, yeah,
it didn't come back up. That like the whole MINERVA thing didn't come back up. I mean, it did.
She didn't bring it up.
Didn't bring it up with the 2 crazy people who were talking to a missing person. Brought it up to the one who didn't say anything.
That's fair.
I'm actually impressed by Yono's response, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, part of her job is to keep your secret. So
Thing is, Van-Vee has no idea it happened. Only MINERVA does.
Yeah, only MINERVA does.
It seems to happen a lot. Yeah, MINERVA knows about this. MINERVA knows about that.
Look, if MINERVA thought that it would affect things for you, MINERVA would tell you. Kind of like when MINERVA pretended to be you, MINERVA let you know that it pretended to be you.
That's fair.
That was something you needed to know.
MINERVA's so benevolent.
Yeah.
Yeah, would never bend rules or break them.
I feel like when we actually leave system, we're going to get a ton of messages.
Probably.
Starting with one from y'all. Where are you? You're late.
I mean, the good news is we can go meet your parents and send a bunch of messages to try to find chemists while we're there because we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have anywhere to go for chemists yet. So,
well, that's definitely going to be a priority for next session is to get out of Lita, to be able to send messages, to be able to get help for Lita long term, right? Because like we said, we've managed to secure short term ability to survive for the people of Lita, but that does not mean their long term survival is.
That sounds like a wonderful crew goal for next time that we won't remember. Find chemists.
I mean, your personal goal is definitely on that vein. It's very similar to talk to Carlito about potentially helping, right? He's got to have chemists on staff.
I like to make an alliance with the Vostros.
Yeah, that's a good one too. We have a lot of players.
I mean, at this point,
as soon as we get to your parents, probably the entire rest of the session is going to be talking to your parents. So that's a good crew goal for an episode of you talking to your parents.
Going to see some intense father-son / self role play next time.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to find out what y'all actually says to you about like your actual childhood, right? Like, it's really fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Van-Vee is pretty transparent in what he knew and what he found out in his messages, which probably just isn't helping y'all sleep for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
I love that. He's sweating bullets. Where the hell is this?
how did you know
go?
that? You don't have an uncle.
God.
If someone says
He
they're an
went.
uncle there, it's bullshit. What do you mean you found the man whose body you were living and you're just the dust and you merged? Explain that one.
Yeah. How much? I mean, it's obvious that y'all knows a bit, but it would
Right.
be interesting if you have discovered something that y'all didn't know.
For sure.
You see, when we were on ferry and I went into the warp time zone, twilight zone, I found this other person
Not a
living.
lot of time to think.
What do you mean
Listen.
you were on ferry? That sounds like a terrible idea.
I
yeah.
definitely know something y'all don't know. So
Well,
This
I was
man.
really butchering the English language.
touche.
Are we good for next Monday?
I am.
think so. Yeah.
I might be a little late, but yeah, wife's traveling, so I'm on kid put down duty.
Very well. I would like to remind the audience that Terra Invicta had a pretty major patch in the last 2 weeks. So
Have
What a great time to
templates. I
start
just started
the
a
game.
new game. I'm so excited.
I finished it just before the patch came out, and the idea of not having templates kills me because I had so many
Yeah,
fucking bases.
it's so good.
You know how hard it is to colonize Jupiter without fucking templates?
Right? How many stations did you have to manually click, drag?
400. I had a lot of damn stations.
I'll stick to Icarus for a bit then.
I haven't played it, but every time you guys talk about it, it sounds like more and more work.
It's not like it's a good.
It's amazing.
No, yeah. There's
Listen,
like-
it is
so
a lot
it's-
of work,
it's a cool
but on the other
progression of the
hand,
game.
you are micro and macro managing the resources of Earth and the entire solar system
Yeah.
to stop alien body snatchers from invading.
and it's got a really nice progression of scope and scale. It's there's not a lot of games like it. It is incredibly unique. It is worth a shot.
Okay.
It's just that I made a video for Ludemann and Dunamis, and Dunamis is like, "Well, you know what? It's time to quit Terra Invicta," and I'm like, "Okay." Coughing up.
No,
blood.
I'm not quitting. I stopped playing Anno in 7 days tutorials. Now it's just Icarus and
Perfect.
Terra Invicta.
I've been playing Mechabellum
I
and
heard it's
enjoying
good.
that. It's a solid,
Solid
like
name.
auto battler.
I
Yeah,
like it.
it's an auto battler. You just place your dudes and let them do their thing. It's nice for like 15-minute rounds of something that like scratches that itch. You know.
I've been playing Jagged Alliance 3, which is not like Jagged
Oh,
Alliance 2.
I was
but
gonna
it's still
ask,
very
is that
good.
any good?
Oh my god, look. It was really rough, and I started with the strategy where things start hard and then get much easier, which is where you hire a bunch of low value, high wisdom characters who learn very quickly, so they suck in the beginning. And I went into the game thinking assault rifles were good, and so I had everyone with an assault rifle, and that was a bad plan. Bolt action or any single shot rifle are way better than any of that shit. And silence Gewehrs. It's 2001 and I'm using a 100-year-old German rifle I found in a fucking Kriegsmarine bunker in order to invade army bases. Versus guys with like fin falls and shit with like holoscopes, and I'm like, yep, I'm good where I'm at. Gewehr supremacy right here. It's super interesting. The stealth system is really interesting. You do have to learn the mechanics and then how you can abuse them to stay alive. That at least is definitely how Jagged Alliance has always worked.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me is that you can't buy guns or ammo, so you have to acquire all of them in the field. And that does mean that I can't do my strategy of having one guy with a gas mortar follow the group around and just gas all of my enemies to death. Which is very sad, because that's a really elite strategy of war crimes. On the other hand, so much of the game takes place in urban environments that probably would also be a bad idea. Now, does the enemy gas me? Oh yeah, all the fucking time. Drives me insane. It sucks to have the most used tactic in Jagged Alliance 2 used against you in Jagged Alliance 3. It's really good. It's really, really good. And it has a bunch of callbacks to both 1 and 2.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's definitely on my wish list.
Also,
we're gonna get the
it's a pain in the ass.
How-to video for that one too.
I'm working on what kind of videos I want to make. You know, the thing is that those like gaming videos have never done well for me. Really? It feels like a very bad time.
I'm just thinking of Dwarf Fortress and the Terra Invicta, and those seem to do all right.
Yes, those were like single point videos, which were heavily. I mean, the Terra Invicta video didn't even include any footage of Terra Invicta. It was just me condensing my personal strategy and telling people where to find the community strategies.
That's a thing.
I'm thinking of doing Hard Space and Jagged Alliance 3, but I really have to figure out how to condense these videos, make them interesting. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up here? I just want to give a shout out to my cat, who has consistently interrupted every moment of my life with her random howling and wish to have her old food back. Not that she's on prescription food.
I know this. I'm familiar with this intimately. Cats are beautiful creatures, and my cat Ella sounds like a banshee whenever she wants anything. She also has colitis, so it's similar to the IBS situation.
Yeah.
Occasionally decides to scream at me because, her butt hurts.
I'm just glad that my dog was such a food slut that when we had to put him on prescription food for his kidneys, he was just like, it goes in my mouth and I'm not hungry. I'm good.
I don't taste it.
He just swallowed it as quickly as he could and just moved on to the next thing.
That. My 14-year-old dog is just like the pickiest food eater at this point. She's like, oh, look, I know you bought the special food that's for picky dogs and whatnot, but I'm still only going to eat it if you throw some chicken on there.
So glad I didn't have to deal with any of that.
And my dog's on like the super allergy kibble, but he knows it, and so he won't touch it because he's had better kibble beforehand. And so I worried to get him to eat it. So like mix in like yogurt, like literally take a spoon of yogurt, throw it in, and mix it so it's like cereal.
Yogurt works. I love it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Cereal is not bad for him either. So cereal and pumpkin.
Yeah, the pumpkin. We've done that for our dog. All that to say, AP, I hope that Amore feels better and is slightly less wrathful towards you. That's good.
That's a good start.
She definitely feels worse, and she definitely is out to bother me, but she stopped vomiting, so her quality of life, rather than her quality of enjoyment, has improved. My quality of life and enjoyment has plummeted in the meantime, but she's alive and not vomiting, so...
That's a win.
I think she's getting close to biting me, though, which is going to be the end of our relationship. All right, friends. I'll see you next week.
May the best Skaven team with inducements win.
We're probably going to have our next episode before we have our next Blood Bowl game.
That's true. I need to have my Nemesis match.
James is very busy.
Yeah.
Your Nemesis match. Well, you have a chance to lock Lawson in as the only person who didn't succeed on his Nemesis match.
I mean, I know we're trying to end, but I'm kind of curious what other people did to try to get a leg up in their matches. As far as I know, no one else.
A ton of people dropped team value before going into the playoffs, which in the end it didn't do very much for them because everyone dropped team value.
but did anyone else like try to bribe their Nemesis like I am? As far as I know, no one did. Like if I hit Wilhelm in the second half, he's gonna take a dive and just leave the game. Like, did no one else try that?
No, I got my Nemesis to play me at the Apothecary Stadium so that I will always have an extra Apothecary at home.
I guess
Because
that makes
I'm
sense.
starting to acquire and will permanently gain residency there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
I
have
like how yours was to be a shitlord who bribed your opponents. My God.
bribery and corruption, man. That's what the Skaven are known for.
Typical Capellan.
I don't think they are, though.
Typical Capellan.
I don't think Skaven get bribery and corruption.
I'm sorry,
I think you
not-
get it because you're underworld.
Yeah,
Getting
sorry,
a little
Underworld
Cosmo
was-
leaking
yeah.
in.
Listen,
exactly.
don't come from my people, okay? You come for your people. You're not a Skaven coach. You're an underworld coach, and don't get it mixed.
Professor Stone forgets he has goblins on his team sometimes.
I don't know how he could. They make up the majority of the roster.
Yeah, but they don't do anything other than be punching bags.
I'm going to punch them very hard.
That's what they're there for. It's okay. Too funny.
All right, friends. We'll be back next time to maybe round out this arc. We could get off this planet. Maybe. We might have an electronic mail at some point. Wouldn't that be wild? Have a good night.